Welcome to the XY Advisor podcast, where it's our goal to help you become the best financial advisor possible and drive the positive evolution of financial advice.
Hey guys, Ben Nash from the XY Advisor crew, and I'm super pumped to be introducing this brand new series we're about to kick off all around the 3 Ps of Plan, Produce, Profit. Now, the XY team spent a lot of time thinking about what makes a great financial advice offering, a great financial advice business, and what we distilled it down to was that there are 3 key elements that you need to get right to have any level of success in your financial planning business. The first is about planning and how to plan an epic service proposition that's engaging for the people that you want to work with and compelling to drive real results within your business. The second is about producing, and that's about being efficient in your business, streamlining things, maximizing the benefits of technology to run a scalable and profitable advice service. And then the third is profit, which is all about getting your message out to a bigger market. How do you attract more people into this awesome offer that you're running efficiently and scalably? So I'm taking over the next 15 episodes. We're going to have 15 advisors, going to be 100% advisors. I've had a bunch of fun with the recordings that I've done so far, the interviews, and I've got a few more great ones to come. So I hope you enjoy this series.
This episode is proudly sponsored by FE Analytics. Now, a number of XY advisors have already discovered this one-stop, easy-to-use tool that helps with investment research, analysis, portfolio construction, ongoing monitoring, and client reporting. Find out how FE Analytics can help you improve your business process, manage your existing client base, and win new business by contacting Bruce Jenner via bruce.jenner, Jenner, at financialexpress.net or visit financialexpress.net for more information.
Well, mate, thank you for being here. This is the third part of a 3-part series around the 3 Ps of a successful financial planning business, which is all around plan, so creating a compelling service offer, produce, which is running your business efficiently, and profit, which is what we're talking about today, which is all about getting your message out to the masses. And over the last couple of weeks, I've had some sort of less traditional people in this space talking about PR things and podcasts and that sort of stuff. But really wanted to get you in to talk about doing partnerships with the more traditional sort of partners in financial advice, accounting partners in your case, which I know you're sort of really closely aligned with. To get, I suppose to see someone that's doing it well. So, mate, thanks for being here.
Sure, thank you. Mate, thanks for having us.
Firstly, though, just some metrics around your business. So, Kelly+Partners, tell us about the business.
So, Kelly+Partners is traditionally an accounting firm set up by Brett Kelly, and he started it about 12, 13 years ago now. He realised that there was a huge gap between accountants doing the compliance work and actually business services stuff. So their bread and butter is not just doing tax returns and stuff. It's actually providing value to their clients on a whole new level that like a lot of us like to do in the financial advice space and advisors that have been on this in the past. So there's a lot of synergies there when we went across and looked at how we can work with them and what we can do from a wealth perspective.
Yep. How many accountants?
There's 40 partners across 13 offices.
Wow, so massive. And then on the advice side, so the advice business is created with an idea to partner with their accountants primarily?
Primarily,
yes. And so how many people in the advice side of the business?
There's 2 of us, and then we've got three staff and an offshore team that help us out on the deliveries side of thing.
Right.
So Kelly+Partners as well, being a listed accounting company.
Yep.
Pretty unique model there, but working quite well, and it allows the accountants to be partnered as like an owner-driver model, where they can partner with essentially in a services business that has the format down pat, and then they plug and play.
On the accounting side?
On the accounting side, where they want to be. And we've come in as a subsidiary to that business to do a very similar sort of thing and provide services to those accountants.
Right. And so you've been at Kelly+Partners for a year?
Almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Shit, that time goes fast.
It has probably 20 months now.
Yeah, and how long before that? Because the other advisor that was there, that was like the first one in the business. So they started how long before you joined?
About 12 months before I did.
Right. Yep. Okay. Nice. And what sort of advice are you providing?
We're providing. So from an interesting point of view with our accountants is that they do more than your average accountant does. So in the traditional sense, where from the background I came in, my advice was you're that general practitioner. You come in and you're telling the clients where they need to be, getting their estate plan sorted and everything like that.
Yep.
The accountants we're partnering with actually do that as well.
Right.
So they're getting what is essentially called the flight plan in order and giving all that service. So we're really there to plug the gaps that they haven't done.
Right.
But then also going out to our clients to do the full holistic advice, but really mainly insurance, investment, and some planning, strategic planning stuff.
Sure. So it's more that like it's almost like the flip side of a lot of advice businesses, where it's the advisor that's trying to control, like manage the estate planning and doing the project management with all of the other bits and pieces. They're more so the accountants are doing that, and then you're doing this specific the investment piece, the technical stuff, the insurance side of things. Yeah,
definitely.
Cool. So, what's your ideal client?
We've spent a lot of time in the last little bit trying to get this right. The nature of the business being we've been very busy trying to get across the client, get across what type of clients there. But we're finding that it is I shouldn't say older, but it's a more mature client than typically probably what you deal with or a lot of what's out there. But it's not to say that the nature of what it is that our clients are business owners. And that's Kelly+Partners' sweet spot from an accounting sense.
Yep.
So we're finding those type of clients are attracted to what they offer as a service offering. So that's who it is. And it's more established businesses looking to grow, looking to better their profit margins and all of that.
Yep.
And partnering with a good accountant that can do that sort of thing. And by nature, that's where our clients are. So
okay. And with the accountant, given that you're doing the more I suppose filling that gap between the holistic piece that the accountant's delivering, do you work with clients? Is it more transactional, or do you have clients that are on like ongoing retainers? Or
no, we only work on a fee for service ongoing basis. But what we've realized is that it actually allows us to do the parts we do really well. There is not to say it's a distraction to do the other stuff, but often clients. The reason they come to you is for a purpose, and we can do that purpose, plug that gap, and we know we've partnered with someone or set the structure up right, or have an accounting or an estate planner or someone in there that's offering a service level similar to what you would want to offer your clients yourself.
Definitely.
Which makes the job easier. And it means we can do our services really well. So fee for service, but doing exactly what the part we need to do.
Okay, makes sense. I suppose that you really like the clients that they sort of need that stuff done, and there's no point in having two captains in the ship, right? Like if you've got someone that's doing it, it is something that takes a lot of time as well. I know that in our business, when you start going into the working with external providers and lawyers, you can streamline things a bit, but it is sort of out of your hands. So but I also think like you bang on about that it's got to be aligned in terms of the service levels. Otherwise, those relationships just don't work, even if the clients are aligned as well.
Definitely, and from our perspective, it's we really do focus on a high service level. That's what the Kelly+Partners model has been built on. So we're trying to now understand how the wealth management piece, which hasn't been traditionally offered there, fits into it and aligns with that. So when you partner with these accountants and get the structuring right to, like you say, sort of one captain and you're working together, it's a good fit from that perspective. Yeah,
for sure. And so the idea with the wealth management arm of the business was to really fill the need for the partners in the accounting side and to work with them over closely to make sure that the clients are getting looked after. Also, I'm assuming sort of keeping them in the family as well, because the more likely someone starts talking to a whole bunch of other people, then you can see that could get conflicting advice, could end up with people leaving. So I think a smart move from their perspective. But tell us about the last sort of couple of years, that journey in specifically around how you've been partnering with the accountants and how that sort of evolved over that time period?
Yeah, and for me, that journey actually started a little bit before I joined Kelly+Partners. The business I was involved in before, I know you know them quite well, Paul and Dean, were at Absolute Wealth, and they partnered really well with accountants, and they had a good background knowledge on how to do some of the stuff that accountants do from a structuring and getting that piece right. So I learned that early on, that partnering and working with accountants was a really good way to grow your business and also understand and demonstrate knowledge on a whole different level, not just insurance and investments at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So going back to there, that was my grounding in financial advice, working with them and learning that.
Dean did ask me to if you could share the story about how you got your biggest client.
Wow, too soon. Too soon. No, actually, I did go to lunch with them the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Right, who's shout?
I think I paid maybe at the end, but so I think it's on them next. But it did take a good hour before the joke and the elephant in the room was addressed. But it was all very much in good faith.
Of course, yes.
And then it comes down to offering a good service, and that's. And I learned a lot from them, and I was able to take that across with me. And
that's it. And the relationship with it, eh?
No. So you've completely thrown me now. But that journey, and I was approached to come in and help. So that background is exactly where my business partner Trent is. He came from the investment background, working for investment banks, doing structured investments and all of that, and his knowledge and expertise in that is what he brings to the table in our partnership, and the structuring and financial advice piece is how we work together on our clients. So, they're looking for that. Like I said, our clients are typically older, more mature clients, and they are sometimes looking for that grey hair advisor. Yep. And there's just no way about that. Just
don't have enough grey hairs yet.
No, there's one coming. I don't cut it out for that reason, but we really allowed that to we work well together doing that. So going back to how we set the whole business up was went across and said, look, there's an opportunity to grow a business and partner with accountants and offer in that advice that ties in with what they do. And we started, must have been just over 2 years ago now, I started that conversation, and I joined there at the start of 2018. And realized very quickly that going across, I went in thinking, I was going to do what I've been doing, being that GP, the captain of the ship, directing and trying to get all that stuff done, but realized I had a really compelling service offering, and that one we could build a really good advice business off of to partner with, and not try and be the key player in the relationship. It was a bit different to what we'd been used to. Coming out of it, we a lot of clients had an accountant that just did their tax at the end of the day and didn't really do some forward planning thinking. So a big key for me was how do you partner with your partner? It's not just someone that's going to refer you business at the end of the day. Yeah. It's where do they sit and how do you structure that relationship is actually just as important as whether you're giving each other business.
Yeah, and so like obviously you guys are aligned in that you're associated with the accounting business, so that there is a pretty firm sort of linkage there. But I think that like you say, that the building the relationships and partnerships with these with the accountants or any provider is it sort of consists. It's not necessarily something that will just happen on its own. So I suppose what's the progression been in terms of like the learnings in the last couple of years? Did it all just happen straight away, or I know that from some of the chats we had before that there was a bit of sort of evolution in figuring it out, how to make it easy to partner with the accountants and make that work.
Yeah, well, the biggest learning I can look back now and go is learning how different people work with their clients and being able to match that. And finding what your ideal sort of service level is, and partnering with people that align with that. Because if you don't meet, if you set up a structure or you become aligned with someone that you work really closely with them, and a lot of clients, if you just work with one or two, it's probably not going to come out as prevalently as what it came out for us, where we were working with 3-4 at a time.
Yeah.
And meeting those same expectations, because we're now not the key relationship holder, which we've been in the past. So everything gets fed back to that. So setting up a really similar understanding how that person works, and working, not changing just to do it, but actually having a very similar sort of structuring in place as to how you get back to clients, how you do that, meant that as soon as we got synergies and we're able to align that, we were able to work so much better and quicker with the clients that we wanted to work with. And the process was smoother, and we were able, and the journey was a lot quicker for everyone and better.
So, and do you work the same way with all of the accountants, or is it sort of horses for courses? Or?
No, well, it used to be. I thought that one way would work for everyone.
Yeah.
But what we're realizing is there's essentially we're based in 13 locations currently. We've just gone into Melbourne, but that's a separate one. But around New South Wales, from Central Coast to Wollongong to Oran Park and Campbelltown, like we've got a number of offices around, and your clients are different. Yeah, the ones you're from a servicing perspective, they expect different outcomes. They expect different. So we almost had to tailor it per office and try to set our business and get our business working to be able to service the offices. So our first client is actually the other partners in the business.
Yes.
Because we're there to help them service their clients' needs.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a bit of a you almost have to cut your own ego out of it to think you're not the most important person in the relationship, but you're not. You have to take the back seat and just plug a gap. Yeah. Not drive the process. Which when that's been the way you've taught and the way you've liked to work with your clients in the past, I can imagine it's a whole different process.
Yes. And
that might not be the way, because our structure of our business is quite unique. So it might not be the way for everyone, but I think if someone was trying to go partner more closely with an accountant, it's actually setting that expectation on who's doing what.
Yep.
Clearly, and so the client knows as well.
Yes.
Not because sometimes what you would have if you didn't do that, or we didn't do that at the start, was the client would be asking the accountant a question that it should be asking over here, and then it's who's doing it or who's not doing it, and because they hold the key, it's always going to be interesting. The person that holds the key to the relationship is always going to be the one getting the feedback, not necessarily both of you.
Yes.
So it's an interesting process that we've gone through, and we're now 18 months down the track of this.
Yep.
And starting to figure out how we can scale that without losing as much time traveling and all of that.
Yep.
Which is it's a good problem to have, but the travel costs our clients.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's you can only do so much driving, 3 hours in a day, 4 hours in a day to service someone, and so we're trying to figure out how we close that gap at the moment. You've done a ton of stuff where you've done stuff online and all of that. Yeah. That's not we tried that, but that's not the service expectation that the client has.
Yeah.
So we have to now plug that gap another way. So we're getting right into that side of things from our business perspective.
It's interesting. I think, you often think when you're doing advice work, you're ultimately working for the client. But I think if you want to go all in, like you guys are in the partnership space, that it's really the accountant, the partner is essentially your client. Yep. First, so an interesting learning, and it's really that it's you say that it's like your you put your ego to the side, but it's really you just work. It's like if you're working with a client, you like with an end consumer, that you're figuring out how they want to be worked with, and then matching that. And it's exactly the same with the accountant as well. So now, because there are 40 partners, and you've been there for a couple of years, I imagine you sort of hit most of them. But how do you approach building a relationship with the partners that are in there over time? Is it something that you do, because obviously it takes time to do these to build that relationship, but did you just sort of go meet everybody, or did you tend to focus in on try to focus in on one or a few businesses at a time, and then roll that out amongst others? Or how did you actually tackle that? Because it seems like if you got 40 sort of potential partners there, great position to be in, but how do you how do you actually tackle that?
A lot harder than I thought. I went in a bit naively thinking everyone's excited and is your friend and everyone's been great as getting you on board sort of thing. But it's exactly right. You're not, just like every time you get a potential client through the door and you can see that the relationship's either going to be a great one, they want help, they want to partner with you, want to do things, and then other ones that might walk through the door and go, they don't like the fee or they don't like this, and you can see it's going to be uphill battle from the start, and you can't be all things to all people. So the quicker you learn that, the better. But at the same time, we're in this position where we think, Trent has been more suited to some partners than I am.
Sure.
And we've sort of tried to play that off a little bit as well, to go, right, at the end of the day, we can, between us, we can do what the client needs. But if our client is ultimately the partner in the business, and how do we work with them to grow their business, grow their stuff, then who's going to be best suited to do that? And that's how we've been doing it. Yeah. Because you're never going to be, put yourself in a room with 40 people, you're never going to be everyone's favorite all the time. Different personalities and different ways of working. Yeah. And then mix that all together. It's been a very interesting learning. So how do we learned it the hard way first couple of times where we just, things weren't happening as quickly with certain partners, and then we went out and saw them, sat down and went, what can we do? What can we do to help you grow the business? And one of the things is that this was our expectation of how the service would work, and this is what you're doing. And it's not necessarily that the outcome was going to be any different. It just didn't meet their expectations, just like in a client relationship. Yes. So the biggest learning is that you've got to treat your business partners or referral partners or people that are going to help you grow your business and you're going to help them grow theirs as clients at the end of the day. Because you can you will learn very quickly that the more you work together, the more you like each other. Yeah. And can relate to each other and deliver on a client's expectations the same, the more business you'll do together, and the quicker that relationship will flourish and grow. Sure.
And do you now, like when you're tackling things, I suppose, are you still in the process of building relationships? Is that something that you would do as part of that? Or if they're bringing on new people, is it about having that conversation around what the expectations are? I'm just wondering, what do you think for someone that's out there that's looking to, partner, they meet a good accountant or a broker or whatever, what do you take out of the learnings from the last couple of years in terms of the best way to, I suppose, get clear on, set things up for success, essentially?
Well, we sat down in our business and went, well, what can we do? How can we make the process better? And it comes down to having a good process and going, at the end of the day, if you meet a new accountant out there, and we're still doing stuff out externally as well. A bit harder because people know that at the end of the day we're attached to an accounting business, but we're still trying that, and they might be referring to someone else at the moment. They might be partnering with someone else, but it could be a really good person or it could be a not so good person that they're working with, and you just got to ask them, just like you would ask a client that walked through the door that had a current advisor, what are you not getting? Why are you sitting at the table having this discussion? What service or what needs are not being met? Yes. And how can you sort of improve that process? Because at the end of the day, you both have a common goal, and that's the client's best interests and needs, and that is the part that really works well for us on both sides. We have the accounting and us that are working on similar clients with similar interests at heart. And it makes the whole process very smooth.
Yeah, nice. And so how do you actually work with the accountants? Is it, because I know that so Kelly+Partners they're part owner in the wealth part of the business, but in terms of with the actual partners, how does that work? Do you pay is it like a fee split thing, or how does the financial sort of side of the partnerships work?
So we're a completely separate balance sheet, completely separate business.
Yep.
So they refer to us because we can service the clients the same as them. Right. So from a structuring point of view, Kelly+Partners, listed company, some of those partners may have shares. A lot of them probably do have shares in the listed company. So they could probably see the value in growing that business and growing the listed company. But no other arrangement besides the fact that we are purely working together with a mutual thing. So that they refer to our business just as though if we came across someone that needed a good accountant, we would send that person across to them because, or where it was suited, based on location probably. Yeah. And also to do that. So,
okay. That makes sense. That's exactly how we do it at Pivot as well. That it's just we'd keep the financials out of it and just make sure we refer. We've got a couple of really good mortgage brokers that we know that they're going to look after the clients. Accountants are actually much more difficult to find, although most of our clients are not business owners. Well, we're getting more and more, but predominantly they're individuals, which most accountants don't particularly want to work with, or not profitable for the accountants, which sort of makes sense. But we're happy to refer that stuff out because we know that they're going to get looked after the way that we want them to get the right advice, and also that it makes your job easier as well. That you're not having to fix problems when people get shit service or shit advice, and then they sort of blow things up.
We figured that was really important from our clients' perspective, is to see that the reason they were getting referred to the wealth business was because we were going to give them a similar service expectation as to what they were getting from the account, because they hold the partnership, they hold the client's relationship first and foremost.
Yep.
So we start to work in there, and if we don't meet those expectations, it's really important for us. So because if we don't meet it, and that breaks the accountant's relationship down with their client, we don't have a business. We don't have a business model.
Yes. And it also makes sense that the people, like the accountants, by using you, they know that they're sort of protecting their relationship, because you're not going to take that person and then go and refer them to a different accountant. You're going to be supporting, and if you're partnered together, then you guys can together work, with the client, but supporting each other, supporting the client, would make for more longevity of those relationships as well, I'd imagine too. Yeah. So cool, man. So thinking about like the last couple of years and the journey that you've been on, specifically around the working with these partners, is there anything that you thought you were really certain was going to work well, and then it was a flop?
Yeah, well, not so much a flop, but thinking that it was just going to be smooth sailing and working. Things would work the way they worked in the past, and so going from working for someone else or a small cell-phone business to a relatively small. When I say that, it's or to working for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So many things that you take for granted on a day-to-day basis that just happened.
Yes, like email signatures.
Like email signatures, man. The ones that change 5 times.
Isn't it true that you've had 14 different job titles since you started in the last 2 years?
I've had 5. And that's all come down to getting the right.
It's the paradox of choice, isn't it, Shane?
Well, unfortunately, that part of it is less chosen as a part of the actual day-to-day delivery of stuff. There is certain stuff that is driven by corporate, and I dare say that part will be edited out, Ben.
Right. Okay.
Hopefully.
We actually don't edit. We can if you want.
No. But it and that's the part we were trying to. It's actually that joke is more serious, because we went in trying to think this. We would just do business one way, and it's the way we saw it. But the way we saw it wasn't what the expectation on each of the partners was, or each of the processes was. So we had to then reinvent it a million times to get it right as to what the offering was, because we wanted to go in and be a holistic full service offering. But when you have clients that are getting that and they feel like they're getting charged for the same thing twice, then what are you actually doing? So we had to try and get it right so the client knew who we were and what we were getting, or what we were giving them and what they were getting from us and what they were getting from their accounting partner.
Yeah.
So we've had to get that right over time. So we went in with it trying to be a full service business.
In terms of the service model you're talking about.
Service model, yep. And that was a complete flop, because we couldn't get that right to current clients, because they were already getting that.
Yes.
And we needed to understand more of the process that was currently there.
Yes.
to get it right. So once we got it right as to what we needed to do and how we assisted the partners in what they were doing, it made sense.
Right.
And then and that it ran so much more smoothly from that point of view than it did from just trying to be, this is what it is.
Right.
Take it or leave it.
Okay. So you actually tweaked the service model based on the expectations of, what was needed to work well with the clients of the accounts as well. Cool. And so how did you go about that, and where did it land? Was it more just in terms of the communications with clients? Because I suppose it does make sense that you go in with the standard like, I'm gonna be your go-to for advice. It wouldn't make sense. Like, I could see where you get pushback for people going, well, what, I'm paying him already for that and this for that.
Yeah. But the whole interesting thing that we did that came out of this was we actually, to enable to service the client, one of the things I think used to happen is that you wanted to be full service. 2 reasons, because you could justify the fees and the process that you were taking the client on. But if they came in with most of that already done, and the accountant can't give advice on investments or insurance or
technical strategy stuff,
the technical strategy stuff, then we could still have the same service offering, just do less and deliver better on that stuff.
Sure.
Because no one comes to a financial advisor to expect to have their estate plan reviewed or all of that stuff. Some people may, but generally, I always used to find they were quite shocked as to the amount of stuff we actually covered off.
Yes.
Whereas in our process, it's being done. So we're coming with a client that's got a really good, solid foundation and just needs these gaps filled. Yeah,
nice. Okay, and has that then evolved further? So I suppose it sounds like you're positioned as just you're filling those gaps as opposed to doing the big picture thing. And does that flow through, I suppose, with communications with the partners and then
and the evolution from there is we're now at a size or where we've grown to as a business to go, how do we take this to the next level now? How do we help the accountants grow their business, grow ours, and actually work together? And what we're hoping to try and do is actually be more or grow the business into a position where we can have the right people in the right areas, servicing not only Kelly+Partners clients, but also going out and growing the wealth business from that perspective. But also by doing that, we will bring in clients that aren't Kelly+Partners clients.
Yeah, back into the accounting.
Exactly, and we can. So now we're starting to think. Now we have to have both. And how do we start to transition that into a business that we started there, ended up with just plugging gaps, and now trying to also then so partnering with the right people and just getting the communication right.
Yeah.
On that side of things.
Nice. And so then on the other side of that, the previous question, is there anything that's worked really well that you weren't expecting?
No, because I wasn't sure and the honest, I wasn't sure what to expect going into running your own business, going from employee I finished up at my last job on a Friday and started a new job on the Monday. No, I don't think I had much time to think about what to expect or what was on the other side. But the biggest and the best thing to come out of the business we're setting up is how to work well with the people you're partnered with, and very unique position on how we're partnering with accounting firms. But I think I've actually noticed, I think there's a lot of financial advisors out there that are setting up joint ventures or doing stuff with accountants because they realize that the accountants and good accountants will hold the key to a client relationship for a little while, and you can become as important or set up the right business by partnering with that. And that comes back to that getting the service expectations right. If you're going to do something like that, you have to work the same, because if you don't, on whichever way you underperform a little bit, it's not going to be good for the accounting relationship, and it's not going to be good for them, and they're going to stop pushing people into that business for you. The other side of it, if you're, I'm not going to say over servicing, but if you're doing one thing and the accountant or the other person you're partnering with feels threatened in that relationship, you could also have a potential problem there. So setting that service expectation up front, right?
Yeah.
And someone that's going to progress along with you would be key.
Yeah.
Not someone that potentially is thinking of exiting or something like that, because it's going to be hard to set up a compelling growth business offering with someone that's potentially exiting out of the business in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've referred when I get someone that's really complicated, that's not fee sensitive, I refer them to my accountant who's at RSM. But we've done a couple of joint meetings, and they don't. I remember the first one. It was, I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was something about a self-managed super fund, and then. And it was a simple-ish answer, but it was one that I didn't know the answer to, and the accountant didn't say anything. And then after the meeting, and then he said, that was that. He goes, but I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure if you wanted to, be in control of that sort of thing. And it just seemed like such a weird thing. I was like, man, if you knew, you should have just said it. Like, I'm not there going, I'm an expert about accounting, but I think that maybe it's more on the accounting side that they're very. Well, that gave me the impression, at least, that they're very that a lot of accountants can be quite controlling in terms of they don't want you to step on anyone's toes, but to say stuff that they should be, if they're the trusted advisor, that you shouldn't be sort of giving answers that would be answers that the client would typically go to directly to the accountant for.
I've found that as well in working with external accountants. The thing with in our business that we've been fortunate with, it's never like no one cares. There's no egos at the door, and we do a lot of joint meetings. Joint meetings for clients. I've never met a client that feels that they're getting, because both on the accounting side and our wealth side, fixed fee, and that's what it is. So when they got two people in the room, then I feel like they're just racking up fees or anything like that.
Yes,
they actually feel like they're getting a good perspective on both. And we've had this discussion with a number of the partners where it's just, we talk about it before, but going in, if there's something that comes up, voice it, and it gives you an opportunity to talk about that live. And not this, so there's essentially, just like I said, no egos, which is really important. But also, our unique situation is because each of the partners in our business sort of started and grew their own businesses. No one's going to say that because they value their client. They've worked and grown that client, and they've had to go out and source that client themselves.
Yes.
They haven't come to them from a, some people do come across from a brand perspective, but at the end of the day, where the nature of where we sit in locations, like I mentioned before, Campbelltown, Oran Park, Penrith, all of those places, they've actually literally had to prospect those businesses around there to know that they're there and what they offer.
Sure.
And what sets them apart from the person next door. So we, clients I find are always more open for a very robust discussion, and there's no one cares who comes up with the idea. It's just about the end outcome for us.
Just RSM then, I suppose.
maybe
Could be. Mate, so like I think so your business is pretty much all of your clients are really coming from the accounting side of the business, is that right?
We're about 60% from the accounting side, 40% from our own networks.
Okay, cool. And so, because I think like there's a lot of people that are trying to, like a lot of advisors that they get the idea, I'll build some relationships with accountants, but then they sort of do it a bit, maybe half-assed is the wrong word, but they're not consistent. They're not in control of like getting the levels of business and consistency that they want. Where do you think, like, clearly you guys are doing it really well, where do you think that people go wrong when they try to build these sorts of partnerships and relationships?
Is not treating it like a client relationship. You wouldn't sit there and let your client and not hear from your client, not contact your client for 12 months and expect that they just then pay your fee when you send them an invoice, for example, if that's how you work. You really have to actually sometimes just go out and catch up and sit there with them and talk about what they've got on in their business, what you're doing, and make the meeting about them, not about the 12 clients that referred you or the potential clients that could be referred. That sometimes should just be the back end of the meeting. It should just be about what's going on for them, nurture the relationship on an ongoing basis, not just wait for them to send another client along or you just send one along to them. You've really got to grow that, and end of the day, you do business with people you like with, you like and
Yeah.
you like to work with. So if you catch up and you know who they are, what the family is doing, the kids are, and actually take a genuine interest in that, and work closely with them on all of that stuff, then that will grow that relationship more than anything.
Yes.
So we went in doing that, and we know, like, what we did was we have catch up regularly with our accounting partners.
Sure.
And it's not just about clients.
Okay, and so you've got because you've got a lot of client partners here, right? So how do you actually manage that? Do you do it ad hoc? Do you systemize things? Is it recurring?
I'd love to say it's systemized and give you the fluffy answer, but it's not. It's ad hoc, but it's on a I would say a fairly consistent basis, but it's plugging it in. We'd love to have all systems and processes in place, and we're getting to the part now where we need that.
Yep.
It's just been it's been really hand to mouth for our business at the moment, understanding what the needs are, growing and learning how we're evolving from what we thought to where we are, and also how we go forward. So that's the next step, is how do we systemize all that? How do we actually have the right people partnering with the right partners if we're going to grow the business?
Yep.
And we can't grow it any further without having the right systems in place.
Sure. And how do you go about nurturing those relationships over time? Is it mainly just going out, just regular catch ups? Is there other
spending
stuff?
Spending time.
Yeah.
If it is as simple as a regular coffee catch up in the diary, or spending a day in the office. Now we have that luxury, but I think if you spoke to most accountants and said, look, could we work together? Or if you especially if you are doing a lot of stuff together, it's probably not week one and a bunch of random people just going, yeah, sure, pull up in my office.
Yeah.
But if you do have a close relationship and you work on a lot of clients together, sometimes just being in the office and giving something to them and saying, look, I'll put on a lunchtime event for your staff and just run them through, the Ben Nash slideshow that I've got copies of. Yeah. No, it's and doing stuff like that, because then they see how you deal on a day-to-day basis with things, and you can really nail down that relationship. And obviously, again, we're fortunate to be able to do that.
Yes.
But I think people would be more open to it than if you don't ask, you won't know.
That's it. Yeah, for sure.
I have done that with one of the estate planners that she said, look, I've got a couple of clients I'd like you to meet. Did it, and I said, look, and vice versa, and I just went and sat in her office for the day. Sat there with her. She got to see a little bit, and she was open to it, and as such, out of that, and we sat in each one of those initial meetings together both ways, and both clients came on for us, and both clients came on for her. That process of being able to work together and how you can do it better is so key to grow, to having a good relationship with your referring partners, and if it's an accounting or estate planners or anything.
Yep, love it. And so if you say you could go back to the start, start of last year when you started in the business, what is there anything you would do differently?
I would try and be more open-minded than I was at the start. Right?
Yes. Go on.
What do you mean, no?
That's not like you to not be open-minded, Shane.
Hush. Wow. No, it's to realise that there's more than one way to do things. And if you're too rigid when you want to set up a business, and you start any new process or any new relationship with someone, working down that, you'll never get it right, because it'd be all lovely to say, look, this is the offering, take it or leave it, but
yes.
Open-mindedness and a bit of flexibility as to what needed to be created versus what we wanted to create, and finding the median and going, okay, cool, that's where we need to be, and actually then having the courage to change and go down that path.
Sure.
Because when you open up your mind to do one thing, and that's where you think you're going, and you have to change. It's an interesting process.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, that's something that's coming across, that it sounds like you've got there's a big opportunity there when you've, essentially from day one, but it sounds like that the pivots that have happened is, really tweaking that offer, and that's what's led to the success. So I suppose it's something that, it sounds like is highly beneficial, is to make sure that you're open-minded, but you're ready to be able to change direction, to work, to create a solution that works for the client partner and ultimately
definitely. And that doesn't mean you have to change the way your internal processes of what you do. And initially, it was too hard to make that connection.
Yes.
You think changing how you're going to offer, or what role you have in the relationship, means changing everything you do. It doesn't. You can still run your business and have the processes and service clients the way you want to. You just have to do it with another party in mind. So changing doesn't mean, and being flexible and open to the relationships you create with your partners or your referral partners doesn't mean changing the way you have to do things on a day-to-day basis for your business. And the sooner you can make that connection when you're bringing in outside parties that aren't your business, aren't in your control, so to say, is key.
Mad. I love it. So you've got your thing, but it's really the positioning and how the people are perceiving what you do, essentially.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it. Shano, mate, some solid tips there. I could keep picking your brain all day, and maybe I will once we get off air. But a couple of quick ones before we wrap. What's been your biggest stuff up or oops moment?
Learning to I'd have to say that setting client expectations and keeping to those. Mm-hmm. When you set them one way and someone else sets them another, and in this case, there is a service expectation that all partners and Kelly+Partners have, and it's more that you have to, when you're working with a partner and how they work with clients or someone else, or whatever external partner it is, you have to understand that to get it right and not your own, because no matter what yours is, it has to line up with that.
Yeah,
so
sure. Cool.
Not doing that effectively quick enough.
Right. Good. And what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Do exactly what you're going to say you're going to do.
Right.
And so, and just get back to a client. The amount of clients we take on, if we say we're going to do that, you do it. You don't. The amount of clients that say, or get a call and say, wow, you called us back, is huge. And so there is a huge lack of service out in the market. So if you're going to say something, you just get back to clients and you show them what you can do. That's the biggest thing I've learned.
Yeah. My business coach says that trust is built when you consistently do what you say you're going to do, and lost immediately when you don't.
Yep.
But I'd say that's probably why your accounting partners are standing out in the market, because I've found that historically all accountants are really shit at doing that. Like, they just don't follow through, follow through, communicate. It's like you send a referral to an accountant and it's like it goes into the void, or you send a question and it's just like into this big black nothing, and then just at random times at some point in the future something will come back out of the void.
And that's a really interesting thing you say that, because even I like to keep my inbox running at zero. I get back to emails within 24 hours, but that sometimes wasn't quick enough in terms of if these guys can't get back to you, they'll clear that. They will call the same day. They will do everything. Yeah. And even if that's at 7 o'clock, I realize that, and that's the expectation they set with their clients. And we've got to match that. So 7 o'clock phone call returning at 8 a.m. next day is okay, but that person might have called that night and said, so just matching on those expectations. Yeah. Otherwise you fall further down the line. So, and that's an extreme example. That's not on everyone, but yeah, it's definitely, like you say,
and important.
Yeah.
Cool. Last question. What's your spirit animal?
I have to say a dog.
Dog?
Yeah.
Right.
You want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah.
I think it's I think in this process and journey that we've gone on from employee to business owner and then having so many stakeholders in a new business from day one was being like a dog at the park, right? You want to go and play and see everything and chase every ball and not let everything down. And then, but sometimes you can't. You have to sit back and just take it in a little bit before you do it. So, but I was definitely, and I'm still that puppy, sort of training into to not chase balls. Not geez, well, we've gone there already. Not chasing all the balls, so to say.
Very good. Well, Mr. Hay, on that note, I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us, mate.
Thanks, mate.